Hey gun enthusiasts, what's going on? Welcome to Arms Be Good for our first ever episode. Oh yeah. So I've wanted to do something like this for a little while, but I haven't really had the time or willpower, I guess. Essentially what this channel is going to be is, we got a lot of good YouTubers out there, like, Donut Operator, Brendan Herrera, the old FPS Russia stuff, Demolition Ranch, and they're cool. I'm not saying they're not. Blowing up things is cool. Shooting unique guns, automatic weapons, things we can't get our hands on. I like that. But maybe I haven't looked hard enough. I haven't really found that much for the new shooter. Or, someone that's, say you just bought a gun and you want to know a little bit more about it, but you don't want to waste time with the whole, oh yeah, these things shoot 600 rounds a minute. You just want to know how to clean it. You just want to know how to field strip it. Or you want to teach your kid how to shoot, but you want them to know like the 4 basic rules of firearm safety before then, and you're not entirely, either you don't know it like the back of your hand, or you're having a hard time describing it, or you just don't have the time. Simple stuff like that. That's what I want to cover. What's the difference between a pistol and a rifle? What's a striker fired versus a hammer fired? Things like that. Stuff that's within my wheelhouse that I can, things I know about. And I don't consider myself to be an advanced user. I'm like maybe up here on the intermediate scale, like almost advanced, but I still need, have questions from time to time. And that's something that's bothered me is, I could ask a question about something and I'll get this extremely like complex, overly complicated answer. And I kind of have to go, yeah, I get it. And then I'll go home and look it up like, what was he trying to say? So I'm hoping to just give, in a very digestible and simple term answers for anything we discuss here. Having said that, it's Saturday as of filming this, so it's our first ever Safety Saturday. And in the spirit of Safety Saturday, we're going to be starting off with, in my opinion, the most important thing to keep in mind when handling a firearm is the 4 basic rules of firearm safety. Now, I say basic rules, and yes, they are pretty basic. I mean, pretty layman's. The English is mostly clear. But the problem is, we still have a huge number of firearm-related accidents a year, which obviously not a good look when we're trying to, people that are trying to promote firearms as being these great tools, which they are great tools in the hands of someone that knows what they're doing and someone that's careful. So, in light of that, let's just jump into it with rule number 1. So rule number 1 of the 4 basic rules of firearms is treat every gun as if it was loaded. Now with me I have a airsoft gun. Don't feel like digging out any of my actual handguns, so we're going to use this as a little stand-in. So what do I mean when I say treat every gun as if it was loaded? That's exactly what I mean. Treat this gun as if it has live ammunition and is ready to go. What that means is I'm not going to point it at myself. I'm not going to look down the barrel. I'm not going to point it at anybody. I'm not going to put my finger on the trigger. A lot of these rules are actually going to, or a lot of this specific rule can tumble down into the next 3. But by and large, that's it. Treat the gun as if it's loaded at all times. Like, you see a lot of videos out there of someone, racking it back and then dropping a mag and then, oh yeah, it's not loaded anymore. Boom! Putting a hole in their freaking G Fuel container. Or, I saw a video recently of the cop that was in a school. He was giving a demonstration about, he kept saying it was a Glock 40, whatever. And then he shot himself in the leg. He prefaced by saying, this gun is not loaded.
This is an unloaded gun.
Evidently it was loaded. Otherwise he wouldn't have a hole in his leg. So on to number 2, which is, do not point your muzzle at anything you are not willing to destroy. Now, muzzle, destroy, those are I don't know those words. What's that mean? Well, I'll tell you what that means. I'll have another video going over the basic vernacular for firearms. But the muzzle, for example, on this is the blaze orange color part right there. It's the very end of the barrel. Now, when they say destroy, I've never really liked that. Like, I get why they say anything you're willing to destroy, or not willing to destroy, rather. But I feel like the word destroy can be a little bit confusing. So let me dumb it down some. When they say anything you're not willing to destroy, I prefer anything you're not willing to put a hole in. So, say don't point a round at your wall unless you're looking to do some impromptu remodeling. Don't point your gun at your dog unless it's got rabies and you're ready to put Old Yeller down. Don't point your gun at a person unless you are fully committed to the idea of seriously injuring or ending that person's life. That's it. It's just that simple. Don't point your gun at anything you are not prepared to break or make not work right anymore. Object, person, or otherwise. So that brings us very, very nicely into our third rule. Do not put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to pull the trigger. Now, I'm sure it's worded differently. I don't know. That's how I like to describe it. And it really is just that simple. There's your trigger. A nice curved bit right there. I know I touched it. Sorry. But what that means is don't put your finger right in there until you're ready to actuate the trigger and make a bullet go out of the gun. Now, nice places you could put your finger in preparation for that. Right here up the very bottom of the frame above the trigger guard. On the outside of the trigger guard. You could even hold the grip like that if you really wanted to. But do not touch this part of the gun. Don't rest your finger on it. It doesn't even have to be hooked around. Just don't touch it. Unless you're ready to pull the trigger. Unless you're ready for something to happen, potentially something bad, just don't touch it. Easy peasy. Now, that brings us into number 4, which is know your target and what's beyond it. And what that means is, say I want to shoot at this very nice bottle of cologne my fiance got me for my birthday. I got it all set up. I got my gun loaded, ready to go. My finger's off the trigger till I'm ready to shoot. Oh, wait a sec. There's a TV behind this thing. I didn't notice that because I was looking at the bottle, you know. So essentially, all that means is be aware of your target and its surroundings. Could be a kid or something playing around over here, and the time it takes you to put your finger on the trigger and pull it, that kid could decide, oh, my ball flew over there. I gotta run for it. And now you have a kid on your range. Or it could be something like your dog way off in the background, and honestly, it doesn't matter what it is, you know, which example I use. Point is, don't shoot at something unless you know that everything within the vicinity of that target, or as I like to go, anything that I can see, anything within that range, make sure it's not that big a deal if I accidentally hit it. Because that is what you're dealing with. If you miss that target, or some worst case scenario happens, anything within your line of sight could be in danger. So, know your target and what's beyond it. That can apply for night shooting too. Night shooting, not particularly safe unless you can actually see what you're shooting at. So, just to recap, the 4 rules, just a real quick brush over, just to summarize everything. Treat all guns as if they're loaded. All of them. If you're going to forget every rule, remember that one. Don't point the end of the gun, the business end, at something you're not willing to destroy. Don't want to put a hole in it? Don't point your gun at it. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to pull the trigger. Once again, it's kind of just like the first one. You know, don't touch the trigger until you're ready to put a hole in something. Number 4, know your target and what's beyond it. know what you're shooting at, know what's all around it, and know every single thing that could possibly interact with that bullet in the process of it leaving your gun and hitting that target. Or hitting the target and continuing on, because contrary to popular belief, bullets usually don't stop when they hit something. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Arms Be Good on Safety Saturday. I thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, maybe I'll have something for you next time that you might like. I don't know. Anyway, I'd really like it if you would like and subscribe, or at least, leave a nice comment, or a bad one, tell me what I can improve. Yeah, that'll wrap it up. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next time.